Greetings, greetings. I hope that you guys are having a wonderful Sunday or whatever, wherever you are located in the world. I hope that you are safe and that you know that you are divinely protected, you are divinely embraced, you are divinely nurtured. I hope that you guys are having a great day. I hope that you are enjoying your family. If you are with family, I hope that everybody is safe. That's the big thing. Uh, hmm. So, yes, I'm coming on without delay to talk about this new development with the Iranian Israeli American war, if you want to call it that. Um, I call it the Israeli American attack on Iran, but I digress. So, Trump's behavior in the past few days has been odd. It's been weird and strange. Okay. There were reports that leaked out maybe a week or so ago that there was some health concerns about the president of the United States of HOTUS. Um, and then there were some rumors, if you want to call them that. I wouldn't call them rumors. There were reports that he was taken to the military hospital, the big military hospital in DC, Walter Reed Memorial Hospital. Um, I don't know how true that is or not. I'm not finding any substantiated reports, but that doesn't mean it didn't happen. It just means that the media uh, could not be reporting it, just like they don't report a lot of stuff. So we don't really know what's going on, except what the POTUS decides to post on Truth Social or X or wherever. Um, that's how we know what's going on because we sure don't know by the news. However, he's just under a strong, strong delusion. It's like this is the emperor with no clothes on. The story about the emperor with no clothes on. I don't know if you guys ever heard of that, but um, the story goes that there was an emperor who thought he was the stuff. He was all of that. He thought that nobody could beat him, and everybody was just worshiping him at his feet, and did everything that he told them to do without any bucking and any type of challenge or whatever. And one day the emperor came out, and he literally had no clothes on the horse. Came out amongst the people, and he didn't know he was naked. He didn't know he was ball naked on the horse, and everybody was pointing and laughing and just shocked. But he didn't know what was going on because he was not aware of his condition. He was not aware that he was naked in front of the people, and the people saw him who and what he really was. Everything that his clothes and his imperial attire hid was exposed in front of the people. And the people, all they can do was just look in amazement and shock and awe at the nakedness of their emperor, their leader. They saw the size of his penis. They saw the freckles on his back. They saw the hair that he didn't shave. They saw the rolls and the folds of his obese belly. Everything that the regal wear was hiding. And it made the emperor look good. It made him look majestic. It made him look worthy of being the ruler of the people. Everything that was clothed and hidden was exposed. layer by layer, bit by bit, piece by piece, the POTUS is being exposed for who he really is, who he's always been. And I don't hate the man. When they shot at him and drew blood a few years ago, I was not in support of that at all. I said, why are they shooting at this man? Is he an arsehole? Yes. Do I agree with his politics? Heck no. But he doesn't deserve to be physically harmed for his beliefs. He needs to be in somebody's nursing facility or assisted living facility somewhere. But he cannot and should not be governing the United States of America. And he sure the heck shouldn't be trying to go all over the world telling everybody else what to do. Because there's something wrong with the man. There is something literally wrong with Donald J. Trump. There's something mentally wrong with him. There are some things spiritually wrong with him. And mentally wrong with him. There's something wrong with this man. Never mind his politics. Never mind the crazy things that he posts and says. There is something really, really wrong with this man. And the fact that everybody around him is allowing him to make critical decisions about this country and about your countries too. What the decisions that he's making is affecting the world. But he's senile. He's demented. I'm not going to even get into the perverting factor. I'm talking about his deteriorating condition. And nobody is saying, hey, we think there's something wrong with you, sir. You need to step down. Sir, we really are concerned for your well-being. We don't think that you're making the right decisions for this country. He made Hegseth fire the Army Chief of Staff, who has, 40 plus years of military experience in this country. If you're going to start wars all over the world, you don't fire the Chief of Staff, the military Chief of Staff in the middle of a war. Not a war you intend on winning, excuse me. So what's happening here? Why are the people that's surrounding Trump allowing him to do these things when they know that it's putting us in danger? I don't know what TikTok just sent me, but anyway, I'm going to keep going. Why are they allowing him to make these bad choices? I'm talking about just from a military strategic standpoint. He's letting the world know about the next strategic military moves that our military is making. Like, you're giving away our strategy. And then you fire the chief of staff because the chief of staff would not discriminate against 4 blacks who are going to be promoted in the military to leadership positions. I'm not going to touch the racism there, but no matter what you feel about black folks, whatever, you get the person that can, if you're going to go to war, get the best people that can perform during a war and keep them there. He didn't even give them a chance. They were just being promoted. They had proven themselves to be competent military officers. Now, I don't even believe that black people should serve in the military, but if you're going to be in the military, okay, let them be. Promote them. If they've earned it, let them be. And it was such a big issue, according to Trump, because Trump didn't want black folks in leadership. I guess he didn't want DEI in the military either. Okay, that's fine. You don't want DEI in the military? Then no DEI, no minorities, no black and brown folks are going on the front line either. You're not sending our children and our nieces and our nephews and our grandkids to be shields for foolery. And I just recall during the last administration, Biden was declining mentally too and physically. And the administration just acted like there was nothing wrong with Biden. They covered it up. They tried to hide it from us. But Biden was not starting wars. I don't know if he I don't know. He didn't start any wars. You don't start a war. You don't bomb places. You don't say we're going to go here and go there and stop genocide and then fire the chief of staff right in the middle of all of this. Who does that? Come on. That is not intelligent. That is not wise. That is not strategic. So are you setting up the country to fall, to fail? Are you purposely antagonizing the world against us? And then emasculating our military so that they can't do anything? I'm confused. That doesn't make sense to me. Then you keep going to social media. This guy keeps going to social media, making all of these threats against these countries and these leaders. And then you fire the chief of staff and you don't promote people who can do the job. And you put people in the place of these people who are incompetent and who don't know what's going on. They have to be debriefed. Who does that in the middle of a war? Come on. That doesn't make sense to me. I'm a veteran. Yes, I went into the military. I was in the Army, the United States Army National Guard, and the United States Army Reserve. I was never deployed. Hallelujah. And I'm glad about it. I'm glad about it. I'll proudly say I'm glad I never risked my life for this country. Because when has this country risked its life for me and my ancestors? You've sat here and told us we don't deserve reparations for crimes against humanity that you committed against my ancestors. Why should I risk life and limb, my life and limb, or ask anybody that looks like me to risk their life and limb to fight for a country that doesn't even believe that crimes against humanity was committed against them? That lives in a country where the government fires hundreds of thousands of us with no explanation and doesn't care how we take care of ourselves, how we pay our bills, how we take care of our families. So why should we risk our life and our limbs when you don't give a damn how we make it and how we survive? No, we're not going to be human shields for the foolery. If you want to fight a war for Israel, you send your children and your grandchildren and your nieces, your nephews and your cousins to fight. Since we're incompetent, no more DEI, not even in the military. Mm-mm. Honorably discharge every young black and brown soldier with full benefits. Since you don't want them to be leaders, but you want them to be human shields. So you could send them in the mountains of Iran to die. For what? For what? No, we don't do that. We're not doing that. We did that in Vietnam. My dad, his friends, they did that because they was proud to serve in the United States Army. My grandfather in World War II. But no, baby, we don't do that no more. We know better now. Mm-mm. No. And then you won't even give me benefits? No. Tisk, 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 tisk. No, we don't serve in the military that don't serve us. You're not drafting our sons and our grandsons and our nephews and our young cousins. No, you're not. Because we're incompetent, remember? No DEI hires, no DEI recruits. Glory, glory. We don't do that no more. We're not our grandparents. We're not our parents. Definitely not under such incompetent leadership. Where's the commander in chief? Is he in his right mind? Is he sane? Yes. We're not going to allow that. We're not doing that. We're not doing that. Mm-mm. No, 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 no. Now, what, 20, 30 years ago? Wow, 40 years ago almost. When I went into basic training, I didn't like it at the time, but basic training was a very empowering experience for me. It taught me that I can do anything. So I was always a big advocate of going through basic training because I believe that basic training builds character in a person. Being able to go through and graduate from basic training builds character, it builds strength, it makes you a soldier in every sense of the word. And as a melanated person, you have to be a soldier. So that is a benefit of going through basic training. However, when it comes time for fighting these wars, these narcissistic, sociopathic, cannibalistic, pedophilic, yes, I just made up a word, military leaders who make these decisions that don't make any sense whatsoever. No, 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 no. Mm-mm. No more black, red stuff needs to be shed for this country. This ground is seeping enough of our ancestors' red stuff, if you know what I mean. So no, if you're in the military, find a way to get out. You've seen enough. You don't even have to play crazy. I know you've seen stuff to make you crazy if you've been in the United States military. So just own up to it. Go to the medic. Go to the hospital and say, I can't do this. Every disability that you hid when you joined the military, you push that thing now. You push it hot and heavy and get the hell out of there. I'm saying it. They don't want to make you the commanders. You know why they don't want black military commanders? Because the black folks are going to actually tell the soldiers what to do so that they can survive. They don't want our soldiers to survive. They want to send kids over there to be unalived. They don't want to win a war. They're not acting like a government and an administration that wants to win the war. They're just starting fires everywhere, all over the world, and disabling the military industrial complex that they created and that they built. Why? Why did they build and create the military industrial complex? It wasn't to empower soldiers. It wasn't to make men and women out of boys and girls. No, 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 no. They created and built the military industrial complex because they wanted to get paid. War is money. You hear me? War is money. And every war that they've ever started and created, the bottom line has always been money. Even the Civil War. You know why the Civil War? Even because our ancestors was property to them. It was money. We weren't human. It was money. They mortgaged our ancestors like property and homes. They financed our ancestors like property because that's what they were considered. When they got off the boats, after they kidnapped them off the continent, they were not considered human. Our ancestors were not considered human. They were considered property, money. Hmm? And the Civil War when they said, "Hey, we're against slavery." The folks that wanted slavery to continue was afraid to lose what? Money. They was afraid to lose money. Every war has been about money or religion. And even if it's about religion, it still funnels down to who's going to make the most money. So the military industrial complex was not created to liberate man, to protect the human rights of humans. No. Mm-mm. Don't let them deceive you that way. No. The military industrial complex, I mean, come on, they unalived JFK over the military industrial complex because he came up against the military industrial complex. Now, I'm not coming up against anybody. I'm just talking to you, talking to my people in particular, encouraging them and educating them to don't be a part of this military industrial complex. And if you happen to be in it already, this is the time to get out. By any means necessary, get the hell out of the military. Because crazy white people are in charge of the military. And that's how they want it. Well, let them have it. Let them have what they want. Since we don't know what we're doing. No. Let them have the military. Let their sons and their daughters and their grandkids, and let them fight the wars that they start. Let them do it. Because we don't know what we're doing. I seen a skit, black female soldiers, they was twerking in uniform. That's not who you want to send to the battlefield, is it? Those girls won't make it 5 minutes. But their commanders doesn't care. That's why they allow it to happen. That's why they have these recruiting drives in the city. Because the recruiters get paid for each one they recruit. You understand? So they don't care the fate of these young people that they send into the military. They really don't. The military industrial complex. And you really don't make a lot of money. And here's another clincher. During a government shutdown, which has been happening a lot lately, during government shutdowns, soldiers may not get paid while they're defending their country. Their families may go hungry while they're defending their country. In America, not Nigeria. In America, in the American military industrial complex, soldiers defending the country while their families starve and while they don't get paid. That's happened. Recently, soldiers going to the food pantry to feed their families while they serve in the military and they're deployed. For what? For what? And so, no, it's not a career choice. It's not a proper, wise career choice right now. And the crazy part is, even when the Democrats take the seat again, I don't think it's still going to be a good choice. This is not a personal thing against Trump. Understand me. No, I don't like him. I don't agree with his politics at all. He is racist, he is narcissistic, and he's nasty. And he's Epstein files. However, whether it was Kamala in office, whether it's Biden, Biden was incompetent. He was sick. He was he was getting dementia, and then it turned around. It turns out that he had cancer. But they tried to hide all of this from the people. And I distinctly remember Trump during the campaign, even before the campaign really began. He talked so much stuff about Biden, and he really pushed that. Oh, Biden was, sick and he was talking crazy. At one time, he made fun of Biden. I don't know what he said. They was having some kind of debate or whatever, and Biden just kind of mumbled something. And Trump was like, well, he's deteriorated. I don't know what he just said. And now he's becoming Biden. The same disease that affected Biden's authenticity and credibility before the people is now affecting him. Do you understand? Maybe you don't understand. So I'm going to share something with you guys, okay? The seat of the POTUS, the presidential seat of the United States of America, the whole White House is a corrupted entity. It's corrupted. Anybody who plugs themselves into that system, even if they go in with good intentions and they really want to help the people and they really, really, have a good heart and they really want to serve the people, all you have to do is sit in that seat for a little while. And it corrupts, it corrodes integrity, it perverts, it brings out every evil, wicked, vile thing that's in a person. It's just like the preacher seat in the church. It brings out the worst in a person. It is a corrupt, wicked, defiled, cursed seat. It is. And anybody, no matter what party you are from, no matter what race you call yourself or claim or identify as, hello, Kamala, no matter what sex you identify as, hi, Katanja girl, how are you doing? I am a female and I was born this way. Hallelujah. No matter who you are and where you come from, once your cheeks hits the president's Oval Office, you are therefore defiled and corrupted, because it is a defiled and corrupted and wicked system. I could have entered into politics. I've been told in more than one country by more than two people that I should have run for office. But just like the preacher thing, I didn't want to become corrupted. When you get close to a seat, you see the defilement and the wickedness of the seat, of the system. Some people are seduced by it. Some people lust after it. They gotta have it. They gotta be in that seat of power. They thrive off of that. They feed off of that. Huh? I'm not one of those people. When I was on the mission field in Nigeria, We went to a village, Isiago village outside of Ebonyi State, Cross River, Ugep, in that area. Um, and we stayed in the palace. We stayed in a palace in the village. And the palace was beautiful, secure, gated. It was beautiful. He had just finished building the king just finished building the palace. He treated us like royalty. It was a really nice experience. I actually slept in a palace. I didn't sleep in the bed because my cousin didn't want anybody to sleep in the bed with her, and they had limited beds. This was my cousin's mission, and she was just being real bougie. I don't want nobody staying in the bed with me. I'm your cousin. I can't sleep in the bed with you, so I'm not sleeping on the floor. But anyway, I won't get into that. But anyway, I didn't know a holla. I slept on the floor. But when I looked out the window, I looked at the people, and they were living in huts. They were living in squalor. They were probably mosquitoes was biting them, biting their children, and they were exposed to the elements. They weren't protected. There's no compound. It was literal huts surrounding the palace, and I could see it, and I felt horrible when I saw it, because when I got there, I was just so they didn't let us see the village people. They didn't let us hang out with the village people. It was a security measure. I guess this is what my cousin told me. Anyway, it was for our security. So us as Americans wouldn't just be out in the village vulnerable. And I could appreciate that. Okay. But when I saw the poverty of the people, and we actually went out to the school to speak to the kids, and we had the medical outreach, and we had the service and everything, I saw the poverty of the people, and I felt bad. I felt horrendous. And I felt bad because I'm like, how can you be in such opulence? How can you live in wealth and opulence and have everything that you need and then some? And have overflow, even have more than enough as a king in a palace. And look outside your gates and look outside your windows and see people in need and ignore it. How can you do that day in and day out? I never asked him that because that would be disrespectful, being in the man's palace and the house, and ask him how he can live in opulence and grandeur and wealth and abundance and say you are king of the people, looking out for the people, but you really are not looking out for the people. And it did something to me. And I said, we like to idolize and worship people in power, people with money. And we don't even understand their mentality, the mentality that rich, wealthy people have. I don't hate wealthy people. Please understand where I'm coming from. I just don't understand how you can live amongst the people and see them suffering and not do anything. But that's what our leaders here in America, wherever you are located in the world, that's what most leaders do. They live in their own little world, in their own communities with their own security, with their own infrastructure. And they could care less about how the average person is living and surviving. And it won't bother them. That's how most politicians are. They're in insulated, isolated worlds where they're very narcissistic and very selfish. and they don't care about the people. And if they don't go into politics or politricks with that mentality, they soon develop it. Why? Because their comrades and their colleagues that are politicians with them and on boards and committees with them, and the Freemasons and the fellowships and the convince them that you have to develop this mindset. You have to not be so connected to the people. Don't look at that. That's going to mess you up. You are better than them. You're not here to make a change. You're here to do our agenda and our bidding. You're not here to serve the people. Don't forget that. That's what they're told once they get in there. And some people think they can handle the corruption and the wickedness, but they can't. And then they turn into something that they don't even recognize. I've seen it happen. So that's why I didn't enter politics. I have not entered politics, and I won't. No, it's a very wicked, evil game. And the politics is not set up for the people. No matter what form of government you claim to be governed by, it's not set up for the people. There's always going to be somebody in power that's going to try to hold on to that power. And they're going to do anything they can, to stay in power. It happened in Tanzania. And they had a woman president, and she went in there. She was supposed to be for the people. And mama this, I forget her name. The Tanzanian president, the president of Tanzania right now, she's turned into a tyrant. But when during her first administration or regime or whatever you want to call it, she went in there for the people. She went in there trying to do what's right. And what happened? Politics happened to her. And she turned into what she seen others turn into. So it can happen to women just like it can happen to men. So I just observe all of this, and I made up my mind that I don't want to be in politics. Because people who enter into politics end up becoming very evil, wicked people. Very self-centered people. And they forget why they're in that seat. And it just becomes a big power trip to them. And for a lot, it just becomes a money-making scheme. Politics is the biggest scam going. You kidding me? So yeah, Trump has turned into Biden. And it's just a matter of time before they find out Trump been having dementia, been lost his mind. But the people around him just won't fess up and tell the truth and say, hey, JD, we need to talk. We think that this man has completely lost his mind. And it's okay if you get sick, or if you lose it, if you had dementia. I've seen people get sick. I've seen people who get dementia, people who I love. I don't condemn them for that. But these people who I love that are sick, or people who I've noticed have gotten sick, are not running the country. It's no big deal. If you are sick, dude, step down. Get your pride out of the game. You are affecting lives negatively. And Paula White is not going to be able to pray that off of you. Fake Catherine Kuhlman trailer trash wannabe. Yeah, I said it. Paula White is a Catherine Kuhlman wannabe. She can never be Catherine Kuhlman. I may not be in church and acquiesce to a lot of the Christianity principles, but I know the real deal when I see it. Catherine Kuhlman was the real deal. Paula White is not. She needs to sit down too. But anyway, um, yeah, he needs to step down. He's not. He doesn't know what he's doing. And I'm just waiting. We're waiting for the announcement. It's coming. And you know what's going to happen? They're going to wait until it's too late to do anything about it. When we're looking up in the sky and things are falling out the sky, and we don't know who it's going to hit. Here in American soil. Then they're going to say, oh, yeah, I think, yeah, Trump is going to step down. Yeah, after he's wreaked havoc all over the world. Now he's going to step down. Who's going to fix his mess? Kamala? Is it real? We don't even know if they. Honey, if Albert Pike's prophecy is true, and if the Bible is true, there may not be what we know to be a is it real within the next 10 to 20 years. Then what are all these evangelical Christians gonna do? Because y'all been thinking that's the chosen people. And you've been doing this and doing that how many decades? Supporting these people and supporting them, and while you was neglecting your own people, then what are you going to do? There's going to be a lot of people that's not going to only leave the faith, they're going to totally not believe in God. Illuminati. That's because they've been lying to you guys. You've been bamboozled, hoodwinked. Religion has lied to you and told you so much that's not true. I came up under attack this weekend. It's okay. It's okay. I understand it. It didn't feel good. It didn't. But here I am. Still standing firm in what I believe to be true and still boldly proclaiming the truth. Whether you like it or not, it doesn't matter. Time has been on my side. I've been here for a minute. I've been here over half a century. And guess what? I've seen some stuff. So those people that think they're in charge and large, they're about to find out some things. And I have contacts in the spirit realm that shows me things. No, the witches are no longer in your churches. Witches are no longer interested in breaking up churches. Stop praying and fasting against witches breaking up your church. That's not, that's not even the agenda. That's not even the plan. We're trying to fix what religion has messed up in this world. Religion has messed up so much in this world. It has bamboozled and blinded so many people. And this whole war and this tit for tat stuff, religion. It's religion. Religion started almost every war that has ever been. Religion and money. Witches are not interested in tearing up the churches. Witches are not interested in breaking up your marriage. Witches are not interested in stealing with what's in your bank account or your trust wallets. Hmm? We're interested in fixing this world because nobody else is doing it. The church isn't doing it. What are the churches doing? The churches are turning each other out. Hmm? The churches are voting pedophiles into office and covering up for pedophiles. Why? Because their own pastors and prophets and apostles and bishops are pedophiles too. So they're not interested in the condition of the world. They're not even in a place spiritually where they're able to do anything to change anything in this world. And that's the truth. We've given them enough time to do it and to prove themselves. Plenty enough time. But they've done nothing but turn each other out, steal from and exploit one another. Sleep with each other's husbands and wives. Fight over churches and doctrine. Fight over politics. You know, that wicked, corrupt entity that I was just talking about. That's all the churches have been doing. They have not been doing anything to try to change the world. You don't care about the world. What do you always say? Oh, we got to stay separated from the world. You don't care about humanity. You try to take humanity from people who don't worship like you, people who don't look like you, who don't dress like you, who don't believe like you, who don't speak English. That's what you do in church. You molest your young and then you cover it up. And then when the evidence comes out decades later, then you give big settlements to try to make up for what your priest did in the convents so many years ago. This is what Christianity and churches and temples do. You don't try to change the world. No. That's not you. That's never been your interest. You want to separate it from the world. Not even understanding that you are in the world. Not even understanding that you can't have church if you don't affect changing your world. If you don't have influence in the world, you can't do anything to help people. And I don't say that to mock you. I don't say that out of hurt or bitterness or anything. I'm saying it because those are the facts. And I've been around for over half a century. Spent most of that time in church. And guess what? I've seen what you guys do. I've seen what you guys do from the biggest mega churches to the storefront churches. And even went to the churches in Africa, in the villages. You do the same thing there too. Which made me sad because I thought it would be different. But it's okay. Everything has a reason and a purpose. So we're not interested in tearing up your church. No. Stop praying and fasting against witches. Nobody, the witches or the juju in the village. Nobody's doing anything against you. No. Your pastors and your prophets and your apostles and your bishops are working witchcraft against you. They're the ones going to the villages getting the power and the mojo and the whole to control you so that they can make sure that you give them all of your money. They can make sure that if they did try to sexually do anything with you or your children, you'll never say anything. Shh. They got to make sure you are quiet. It is your leaders that you submit to that are doing the witchcraft against you. They're the ones that are manipulating and controlling you, building their own little kingdoms and not caring about the world. That's how come they can live in their little palaces and not care about what happens to you. They can see you suffering and then have the nerve enough to preach against you and say it's your own fault that you're suffering. You don't have enough faith. You're lazy. You're not praying long enough. You haven't paid your tithes and offering. That's why you're suffering. Your pastors are the witches. Your prophets and apostles and bishops are the ones that are cursing you because they love to be above you. They love to be in control of you. And they got to make sure that you keep paying them. That's how they pay their light bill. That's how they eat. That's how they take care of their kids. And live in the best homes and drive nice cars and wear the fancy clothes and what have you. You pay for that. Then if you go back to them and say, hey, I need help, they'll make you feel bad or they'll avoid you. I've lived it. I've lived it. It happens here in America too, by the way. So stop praying against what you believe to be a witch and a warlock. Just stop doing that. We don't care about your churches, okay? We don't care about your churches. We're not mad at you. At least I'm not. I'm speaking for me. I'm not mad at you. You do you. But don't pray against us. We're not doing nothing to you. We're trying to make this world better because you're not doing anything about it. And your pastors and your leaders and your bishops and your apostles, they're not doing anything about it either. As long as you could keep having church, as long as you can keep going to conference, and the prophet could call you up and you fall out, that's all you care about. But nothing changes in your communities, in your villages, in your cities, in your countries, in your governments. How many people were killed in Nigeria this week? In churches. It started on Palm Sunday, did it not? You can't even control what goes on in your own church. That's not witchcraft. That's not because of witchcraft. That's not because of juju. And I'm not making light of what happened. It was horrendous. It's horrendous when lives are lost. Religious persecution is horrendous and it should never happen. But it doesn't happen because of witchcraft. You know why it's happening? Because nobody's doing anything about it. Because your leaders, religious and political governmental leaders, won't do anything to stop it. And they have the capability to do so. But they won't. That's not witchcraft. That's neglect of the people by your leaders. And you sit there and you allow it to happen over and over and over again. And we're guilty of it here too. We are. There's not a Christian genocide going on here. No, but there's other types of genocide that religious and political leaders here enable. But it's not witchcraft. You're superstitious and religious and fearful. And you're terrified of what the world thinks about you. You need to stand up and protect yourselves. Because your leaders will not do it. Your leaders do not care about you, just like our leaders don't care about us here. Because they are your leaders. Oh, look at Tinubu. He's incompetent, just like Trump, just like Biden, just like Kamala. They can't make sound decisions for anybody. They can't make sound decisions for their own families and their own households, let alone countries, military complexes. When are you going to get tired of it? When are you going to get tired of your leaders allowing this to keep happening? And Trump sent troops over there, and he's been bombing over there, and it's still happening. It's still happening. And you don't say anything. You don't say, hey, you forfeited our sovereignty to say you came here to try to stop Christian genocide, but it's still going on. But I haven't heard one Nigerian leader openly ask Trump why. Sir, are you here if you're not going to help stop what's going on? It's because your leaders don't care. That's not due to witchcraft. That's not juju. Because it's affecting everybody. Whether you're in the village or whether you're in Abuja, or whether you're in Lagos or Edo State or the Calabar. Huh? When are you going to do something about it? Give me a moment, guys. Let's see. TikTok does this thing where, I don't know, they want you to fill out a puzzle or something, or they stopped a live. Not sure why that happens, but anyway, I'm telling you the truth. You've allowed white people to tell you that African spirituality was evil, and they replace it with something that's more evil. And why is it evil? Because they use it as tools of manipulation and control. And they use it to cause suffering. They use Christianity and even Islam, some sects of it, anyways, to cause massive suffering to people. And that should not be. That should not be. My understanding of African spirituality is it was never supposed to be used to cause people to suffer. African spirituality was always supposed to be a tool of empowerment of self. Huh? Not of others. I don't want to control you. No, that takes too much work, darlings. No. Mm-mm. I want control over myself. And when I say we use it to change the world, when you embrace and practice African spirituality and you get a knowledge of yourself, an ancestral knowledge of yourself, there's nothing more empowering, huh? Than an ancestral knowledge of self. When you know where you come from, when you know what's in your bloodline, huh? That is so empowering. And it makes you look at the world totally different. Hmm? Oh, I feel that. I feel that. It makes you look at the world totally different because now you're not just looking at it as a participant in this life. You are looking at the world as someone who has been around for centuries. Hmm? You are looking at the world from an eternal, if you will, perspective. You're looking at it past, present, and future. Because if you study the past and you know the past, you can predict the future. You can predict the future. Because history often repeats itself. Often. And unfortunately, the history that we tend to ignore or that we're ignorant of is the history that tends to repeat itself the most. Okay? So if you're not aware of patterns and cycles that happen in your bloodline, in your ancestry, in your DNA, you will repeat those cycles. You will repeat those patterns. And some of them are not good. And the problem with humanity at large, please understand, we don't know our history. We do not fully know and comprehend our history. And then when you don't know your history, even the mistakes of the past, of our ancestors and of society, are repeated. But if we would take the time to know our history and learn from the mistakes of the past, even before the mistakes that were performed before we were born, even by our ancestors. Yes, the ancestors made some mistakes, y'all. And they want to correct them through us. They want to correct those mistakes. Church, oh yeah, they made some mistakes. But church don't like history. Most church folks hate church history. Like they don't think that church history exists. Study your history. Study. Why does this church that I go to do this? Who founded this church? Where did this cat come from? What did he believe? Who was his mama and his daddy? Why do we baptize this way? Why do we say this? Why do we have these rites? Why do we have these rituals? Yes, the church has rituals, y'all. Study. Doesn't the Bible say, study to show yourself what? Approved? Study. Study your history. Why did mama and daddy do it like that? Why? Why did my grandparents pray this way? Why did my great grandparents pastor this way? Why did they open up this church in this area? Why did they call the church such and such and such? Study the history. And then if there's more African spirituality in your bloodline than there is religion, study the history of your African spirituality too. Because a lot of the African spirituality I've learned has become religious or started out religious or became religious somewhere along the line, which renders it no good. You know what I mean? Because then why you what is spiritual? You can't cloak it in religiosity. Okay? You can't just practice it as a religion and be traditional with it. You have to be led spiritually, or it's not spiritual. It's very simple. That's why so many people in church have a hard time being spiritual. They talk about walking in the spirit. You can't walk in something that your church was never formed in. Your church was formed in religion. So it can't be spiritual. Okay. Okay. Once you know the history of a thing, you know the future of it. You know what's going to happen next. No matter what it is you believe. If you're Islam, study the history of Islam, the sect of Islam that you believe. I'm not against it. There are a lot of things I admire about Muslims. I am not one of those Americans that's like, "Oh, Muslims, oh my God, oh, they're warmer." No, 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 no. Don't do that. As a matter of fact, there's some, I respect Muslims more than I respect most Christians. I went there, yes. Because Muslims have a sense of true ethics and morality that they actually stick to. Christians do not. Muslims take care of their families. They cover their women and their children. You know how many Christian men don't take care of their families? Got Christian churches all over the villages, all over the community, but here in America, there's a church on every corner. There should be no crime, but there is. Where are the brothers at? Why are they not protecting the streets? There should be no gangs. But you know, where there's a strong Muslim presence in a city, you see the brothers out on the street. They be on the street corner selling their bean pies, and the magazines, and they're helping the young men to not be in gangs. You're not going to see all that gang activity where there's a synagogue or a strong Muslim presence in a city. Why? Because the brothers are out there actually policing that city and make sure that it's safe. Christians won't do that. But anyway, so all Muslims are not extreme or radicalized or strapping bombs to themselves and all that stuff. Those are only a very small percentage of people who practice Islam that take it to the extreme like that. Now, definitely don't agree with the extremism, but there's a lot of great Muslim brothers and sisters that I admire. I admire greatly. Yeah, I can't say that about Christians. I'm sorry, I can't. Because Christians don't like to get their hands dirty. They just want to argue over politics, go to church, have conferences, and argue over foolishness. Anywho, So study your history, no matter what you believe. Study your history. Just study history. There's a lot you will learn. Study the history of the presidents that you've had in your country and look at the patterns of different regimes and administrations. Mm? And it will help you to determine which way your country should go. It'll help you make better decisions about your country if you're going to be there. And if you don't want to be there, totally get that too. Studying the history will help you make that decision too. You cannot hurt anything by studying history. And I've said a lot. I've said a lot today. So I hope that you guys enjoy the rest of this weekend and have a safe week. And there's no reason to be confused. Biden became sick and he was mentally incapacitated while in office. So has Trump. It's just most of us, the news is not going to report that. But he has. He has. He has. Just look at his posts on social media. You could tell the mental state of people by reading their news feed and their timelines. Like, are they okay? This is the guy that runs the world and wants to be the big superpower, but he's not mentally there. Yeah. And that should, I don't want to say it should scare you, but you should be aware of that. You should be keenly aware and watching because he's starting fires all over the world. And there's no fire departments that's going to put out these fires. I made a video a few months ago that said that this is a really bad geopolitical decisions that this guy is making. He's really, really putting the United States in a really bad spot. And I feel like it's almost intentional. Like, why? Why are you doing this? Nobody else is asking these questions, but I'm going to ask them. Like, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? We're living in some interesting times, I tell you. Anyway, I'm getting off of here so I can enjoy the rest of my day. I hope that you guys enjoy your day. Stay safe and study history. Take care.